This is the Desert Shamans channel. Well, I'm going to continue today with my talks about drums. And the last two videos were kind of interesting, and if you'd like to review those, feel free to do so. I really am getting excited about some of the comments and stuff, a few comments about drums and just more views, and so I want to continue on with this conversation. And so the first thing that came to my mind was I got a comment about from somebody on my channel saying that they like to tap their fingers. And to just update you, I have been talking about the frame drum played in a South Indian manner, and I have been talking about using different techniques like the rudiments and that. I thought I would go into a little bit more depth about that, but right off the bat, on a happy note here, for the person that said that they wanted to have a drum, or they felt like, or if you want to have a drum and you can't afford a drum, I got a little surprise for you. Here's what we can use as a drum. It's called a coffee can, chock full of nuts. I had this laying around, but for those people that want to practice with their fingers and try little things with their thumb, like I was talking about the other day, get a coffee can. It's real cheap. Just get some coffee, enjoy the coffee. And enjoy the drum. So I thought I'd get that out of the way right away, so that you can think about that. Or any can, if you find a bigger can that stuff comes in, you can actually even make your own little head for it or whatever. But I would suggest finding something. Even in the garage, look around, see if you can find some kind of resemblance to a drum, and use that, and you can even use it in the trance drumming, the shamanistic drumming that I talk about here. So all of these things that I'm talking about here are ways to get your consciousness, and I always talk about raising your consciousness. It's ways to get your consciousness pulled out of the artificial reality or the artificial intelligence or the overlay of horrific chaos going on in the world, and start enjoying life. Start getting into things. Get some books. Explore different drums. So that's what we're going to do today a little bit. We're going to explore different drums. So in my last video, I'm going to call this video Drum Talk, okay? In my last video, I talked about, how when I was younger, I had a little bit of an experience playing the tabla back when I was in the 60s as a hippie and whatever. Actually, here's a little story. There were these two guys that went to India all the time. I think one guy's name was Frosty and the other guy's name was Jerry. And these guys would go over to India, and they would get hashish over there, and I don't know how they got it back, but they got it back. Probably in the instruments that they brought back. Well, this was years ago, so it doesn't really matter now, does it? But back then, in that era, they would bring this stuff in, and then we'd sit around in this little flat by the beach in Mission Beach, California, and we would, the guys had tapestries on the wall, and they had the whole place reeked of India. Okay, I mean, if you went in there flat, it was India, you know. So I used to sit in there, and they brought back some tabla. Now this is a picture of some tabla. This is an Indian instrument, and when I say India, I mean Indian. I mean from India, not North American Indian. So here are the tablas, and they're made out of different materials. This one looks like it could be metal, and this is wood. And then you have these little things that they sit on. Of course, you play them sitting cross-legged in a lotus position. And you have the straps here with the little tuning. This is how you tune the drum, by pounding on these different little rolled up pieces of wood or whatever they are. There's different ways to tune these. And around the edge is the higher part, which is usually played with the fingers, a lot of finger, and then probably the thumb or the palm of the hand would hit this center area in here, this black center area, which was, I was talking about drum language, and I was talking about takita, takita. Well, the takita part would be the high-pitched part around here, takita, takita. And then this would be the doom, doom. This would be the lower part. So that's where the drum language is applied. And this part, sometimes I have heard, now I'm not sure on this, I didn't use it when I was messing around with these back in the 60s, but some people say they actually put a gum, a little bit of a sticky substance on this part, so that when you press the palm of your hand in there and pull up, it got kind of a boom, boom. You know, it would make a sound, a very unusual but pleasant sound. So that's the tabla. You can see this person has them on a rug. So I messed around with those for a while, and that's where I learned or got into the playing with the fingers. Okay. And again, I knew about the drum language, the takita, 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 takita. You know, I'm still practicing that. I'm still getting back into that. Takita doom, takadimi doom, takita doom, takadimi doom, takata doom. So that's a little bit of the language that you use in your head when you're playing the tabla, or let's say any other South Indian, or let's say Tunisian, or one of those areas. I got to get more familiar with where this frame drum thing has actually expanded to. Now, as I'm talking about it, I don't have my drum here, but so I will show you some pictures of a frame drum. Here's a nice looking frame drum. Looks like kind of a blonde wood, and you got the little beaters here. And this looks like a fixed, non-tunable frame drum. No, actually, this is the drum that I was using yesterday. It's by Remo, which is a drum company. And it's not the best frame drum in the world. It's actually, I have problems, personal problems with it, because it's not really tunable. It's basically, you know, it's a synthetic head, and probably not the best of wood, and I think it cost me $30 or $25 at the time. It's a 16-inch, and it's, you know, it's probably stapled down real well, and then it's got this little cloth band around here too, and I painted a Thunderbird on it, on mine. So that's what I'm messing around with, and I severely need to get upgraded here to like a different frame drum. So if anybody's feeling generous out there, yeah, drop me a line and I'll tell you which one to buy me. Because I would actually prefer to have something closer to this, Although this is probably not the best, but at least it's tunable, okay? And then you got these straps back here where you can hold the drum with your hands. Now, what I mean by tunable is you see these little things in here, little screws, hex screws, where you can actually turn these and you can tighten up the head of the drum. Now, as far as the former picture of my drum, the kind of inexpensive drum, that can be tuned as well, but you have to do that by, like, let's say, placing it in front of a heater with the back facing the heater, and you can, let the heat tighten up the head, and that's very very efficient. It actually works really well. I used to do that with other drums I had, like bongos and kungas that were, well, some bongos that I had that were non-tunable. Speaking of Latin drums, Latin percussion, let me go there because I was talking about that yesterday. Here's a nice set of Latin percussion, LP, as known in the business, tunable, of course. Very beautiful blonde finish on here. These are really well made, and so I used to have two of these, and I played those, and that's what I was talking about when I said I played these probably in my career probably 15% of the time as opposed to a drum set. And these are a lot of fun, and these have a whole different style of playing, Afro-Cuban and Latin jazz, that type of thing. Little bit, I'd say offset from the South Indian rhythms, very close. I mean, all drumming is rhythms, and it's, all of them, like I was talking about yesterday, can be overlaid on one another. Now, here's a drum set, kind of similar to mine, except I don't have this drum right here. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 drums and cymbals. And this is what I played in my career, not pearl. I had a custom-made set, black though, like this. And I played those over the course of many, many years, still have them, and I still play them. I'm just now kind of starting getting into more of a hand drum, but I did use my hands and fingers on these drums as well when I was playing, so I talked about this. You might want to review my video yesterday. This will kind of go hand in hand because I talked about all this stuff, but silly me, I didn't put pictures up, which I should have. Here's another drum I really like. This is a beautiful piece. It's called a doumbek. I think it's spelled D-O-U-M-B-E-K, doumbek. This is another Eastern, probably Moroccan. I'm going to have to really research a little bit more and find out the exact country. But you know what I'm talking about. It's all in that area. And this is a tunable drum as well. It's got the little tuning positions here. And this is played in the same style that I said that I was working, the frame drum. The South Indian style, that type of thing that I'm learning now. Although I had exposure with it in the past, like I say, I'm relearning and learning different hand techniques and that type of thing. Making good progress, very good progress. Here's a typical powwow drum. I love these. Typically, it's played with several people sitting around in a circle with these beaters here, and it's a real deep drum. And now this is used more in the shamanic style of drumming, a steady rhythm. Steady, 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 boom, 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 that type of thing. This will really take you outside where the buses don't run. If you tune into this kind of thing, and you can find some of this stuff on. Oh, look at this kid has a coonskin cap or person. Hey, I always wanted one of those. Oh well, as a kid, you know. Yeah, this is a powwow drum, and these are very beautiful and used in a lot of indigenous cultures. So we'll end up this little picture series with the frame drum. This is kind of a neat picture. I'll probably use this as my thumbnail. This looks old, ancient, and probably has a great sound to it. So there was just a little review of what I was talking about yesterday, because I was talking about how I was incorporating the kunga drum, the Latin percussion drum, the stuff that I learned, the rudiments. Oh, let me do something with that real quick here. Let me see if I can find some rudiments here. Let me search here and see if I can find some of those. Yeah, so just to perfect. This is perfect. I talked about the first 13, there being 26 rudiments, and I talked about how they were originated in Europe with the marching bands and all that stuff. So right here you have an actual picture of the rudiments. You have the long roll, which I was doing yesterday. I was saying mama, dada, which is left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right. And you get it going really, really fast here till it just sounds like a buzz. Then you have the 5-stroke roll, the flam accent, the flam paradiddle, the flamacue, and all these have different notations as far as what stick you're using on these. So this was like the stuff you would hear, with the military units marching information and that type of stuff. And then these rudiments here eventually made their way to New Orleans and coupled up with blues rhythms, and that's what you hear in a lot of Dixieland, coupled up with blues rhythms, and eventually worked its way into jazz. So these are like, if you were beginning on a horn or something, these would be like the scales, only to a drummer, these are the scales. I learned these when I was in 2nd grade. So anyway, just a brief review of what I was talking about yesterday. I mentioned the rudiments, and I mentioned the different ways to incorporate different styles of drumming or techniques into the South Indian technique. And that's a whole different thing. Let me see if I can pull some. Yeah, so this is called Sol Katu, and there's another name for it as well. But this illustrates what I was talking about in the way of drum language from the East Indian or South Indian, the eastern area of the world. And I was talking about taka, takita, as I'm showing here, and it's got the takita, that would be a triplet, and takadima would be a quadruplet. And they have all these notations: taka, takita, taka, takita, and taka, takadimi, taka, takadimi, taka, takadimi. That would be this one here. And this one would be taka, taka, takita, taka, taka, takita, taka, taka, takita. So taka, taka, and then takita triplet here. So that's how the notations are used in South Indian drumming. And you got different time signatures, 3/8, 5/8, and all that good stuff. So, yeah, this is something that I was talking about as well yesterday. In my meditation today, I was doing some mantras as I have taught on this channel, and I was doing my breathing and my consciousness raising techniques. And I put the thought out there that I wanted a spirit guide as far as this drumming goes. Well, next thing you know, it's coming into my mind. I'm in a very deep meditation, and I start hearing this South Indian drumming, and then I start actually chanting, or not chanting, it's not really a chant, it's a verbalizing it. And then I internalized it, and all kinds of nice visions came to me, as they always do. Visions of India. I was sitting in a room, could see the temples outside and the sand dunes, and I could see the tapestries on the wall, and I could see the beautiful young maiden over there sitting in the corner, and looked like some kind of king's palace or something. And I got this just radiant light from the center just coming out like this. So I go into altered states of consciousness, and that's what the whole thing's about, really, is drumming and music, and any way that you can get out there. Okay, I would suggest you do that, because this world, you have to get into the other reality, the other world, and this is a really good way to do it. So anyway, excuse me, I just wanted to to continue on. I told you I was going to incorporate this stuff into my regular posts here on YouTube. Going to kind of change directions a little bit, because I have talked about what's going on in the world ad nauseum, to where it's just, but when I do talk about it, it's to get you out of it. It's to give you ways to get out of it. But I don't like dwelling on what's going on right now, because that's not my reality. That's not my reality anymore. My reality is taking a trip on a drum, okay, and taking a trip with music, and taking a trip any way you can, using whatever tools that you have available to you. So I'll continue on with this, going in this direction, and I plan on playing a lot more drums. You'll be hearing me play probably my little kunga drum. I have a portable kunga that it's who made that thing? Giovanni Hildago, I think. Giovanni Hildago. What a maniac he is. What a great drummer he is. He made a kunga drum, like I showed you earlier, the Latin LP drum. He made just the top, and he made it a little portable thing, and I bought that a long time ago. So I'll probably start playing that too. Yeah, so until I see you on the trail again, I guess I'll leave it there for today. This is Thunder, over and out. Adios.